Um, Okay, so yeah, we can just dive right in. I'd love it if you guys could just talk to us a little bit about how you got started on your instruments.
Should I
Yeah.
start?
Yeah. Go ahead, Silvio.
So I was 6 year old and I started going to the conservatory and learning how to play the guitar. Before that, when I was like about 3, 4 years old, I had a guitar that was in the house that my parents got from my brother, actually my grandparents, but my brother never used it, so it was like a doorstop guitar. And then I made it into a motorcycle, so I destroyed it. And then around 6 years old, my parents were like, "This guy's got a lot of energy. Maybe we need to get him to play the guitar." So that's how it all started, and I just haven't stopped.
Did you take lessons when you were six, or did
Oh
you?
yeah, yeah. When you start conservatory, you start lessons, music theory, music harmony, theory, everything.
Wow, at
Yeah.
six. That's young.
Well, the first year was like a preparatory year. You actually start at 7. So I had like 1 year that was like preparing me to make it in because you have to pass a test. And then from first grade to 12th grade, I was there.
I think that's
Awesome.
kind of late in Romania, though, right? It's usually right at birth, they
Right.
just stick an instrument
As
right in
soon
front of
as you
you.
come out, that's how
Right,
my parents
right.
knew. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. In fact, this is when they did.
Ah,
This is my
Wow.
first photograph. So I
Oh,
found it.
they.
Ramin or David, do you want to give us your origin story?
Yeah, sure. So from an early age, I was always kind of paying attention to music. I can still sing jingles from commercials from when I was a kid. Like those things just got stuck in my head, and film and TV music was definitely something I was paying attention to. And I tried some different things. Like my parents got me a harmonica. Like how would how would I even know how to play that? Never learned it. I got one of those sweet Yamaha guitars at some point. Never really went anywhere with it. But when I was about 11 or 12, I guess, I started band class. And so I actually learned trumpet and then switched to baritone horn. And I played that until my freshman year in college. But somewhere in the grunge era, all the all my friends were like learning guitar, and my brother was a bass player, and so there's already the instrument there. So it wasn't long before I started playing bass, and that's what I've been doing ever since. And I did take classical guitar at for my undergrad, so that's when I got really my first one-on-one lessons for an instrument. Um, Much later. So I play guitar and bass, but I consider myself a bass player, bassist.
Ramin, do you want to tell us about your start?
Sure. So, yeah, Silvio's story kind of reminded me of when I was, I guess I was like around 4. I um I remember asking for a Smurf drum set. And like those drum sets
Nice.
aren't real drum sets, they're just like and a 4-year old, I mean, just what are you gonna do with like a drumstick? You're gonna just like play it like that, So, and it didn't last very long. Okay, is what I'm saying. And my parents were like, okay, that was your one shot, kid. That's it. And
It's right there next to Silviu's guitar, motorcycle guitar.
exactly, that's our new album cover. All our destroyed instruments from when we were little kids. But but then when I was, I don't know, 4th grade or something, I remember being really bored in class, and my PE coach came in, right, with those like really like short shorts, and like pulled up socks, and he was like, "Hey, I'm putting together a drum group, like a percussive group. Who wants to join?" And I would just like immediately, my hand shot up. And I was like, what's wrong with everybody? Like no one else wanted to do it. I was like, you guys are crazy. And so it was these I don't know what they call them, but they're these sticks, and they have like they're ridged as well, kind of like, you know, if you're going to play like a Weedo or something like that. So like you can play them they're meant to be played on the floor, and then you can like rub them against each other to get that crack crack kind of sound. And he put together this cool percussion like line where we would go to and perform. We would like do these drum rhythms on the floor and like flip them, and so that was my first introduction to like percussion. And then I played trumpet in middle school, and so that was my escape from the madness of middle school, was the band room. And so anyway, I went to high school, and they said you either have to play soccer, or you can play soccer, or you can play band, but you can't do both. And so I was like, okay, well, you know, I guess I'll play soccer, you know, because maybe I'll get like more girls playing soccer or something like that. And so I don't know if
Yep.
that was true or not, but that was but that was really that was really unfortunate, because you know I didn't really get to play that much music, if at all. You know, I loved listening to music, and I listened to it like, you know, just by myself. Would listen to albums and albums. Would go to the library and check out music, and just listen to music, all kinds of different music. And it wasn't until college where it was like I got back into playing percussion, and then I found this instrument, the didgeridoo, you know, and then I got into playing the cajon when I was at FSU. There was an Afro-Peruvian music ensemble, and I joined that, and I played the cajon. So the cajon is actually originally a Peruvian instrument, and then that kind of got me into playing cajon with these guys, with the flamenco approach to it.
Nice. Can you, just in case anybody in our audience doesn't know what a didgeridoo and a cajon is, can you just kind of describe them a little bit?
Cajon is a box, okay, in Spanish. And so cajon is a box drum. So it's you know, if you look up CAJON, cajon, you'll find, you know, you can listen to cajon and see what cajon is. You know, so this is a cajon.
Oh, that one's
Okay.
pretty.
Yeah, it's actually a new cajon, a very very nice cajon. Basically, it's a drum that originated from like crates, you know, like shipping crates that the Afro-Peruvians developed into a drum. And then the didgeridoo is one of the world's oldest instruments from the Aboriginals of Australia, and it's basically a burrowed out log originally, whether it be bamboo or eucalyptus, and it's played, has this low droning kind of sound, and it's played with a circular breathing technique that kind of mimics. It's made to mimic the sound of nature, right? So a lot of like the vocalizations through it are imitating the sounds of the birds, and you know, different kind of natural sounds. So it's one of the world's oldest instruments, the didgeridoo, and it's one of the world's kind of like newer instruments, actually, is the cajon.
So can one of you talk a little bit about how Maharaja Flamenco Trio came together?
Well, I think that, you know, first of all, we were all in Tallahassee, Florida at the same time, right? And we didn't know each other. And I like to think, like, you know, Silvio was kind of had, you know, this vision of wanting to put together a flamenco group in Tallahassee. And so, you know, I think Silvio and I first met at a party. It was like a house party where we jammed out, and you know, Silvio was starting to like scout. You know, he was scouting out the talent right around, and I was playing in this just sticky, you know, dark Mexican restaurant. You know, it's like if you ever go to those Mexican restaurants where it's like just the floor sticky from all the margaritas, you know, that people spill, and beer, and it was just, you know, it was a little shady, but it was awesome because I was there playing with the group. We were playing like Latin music, and I was playing congas, and it was great. And I swear this place had those like Western, you know, those doors that like flap, you know, like those old
Saloon
Western kind
doors.
of saloon doors, you know, and it was like, I kind of was playing congas, and I see this kind of like figure come through, you know, the doors, and it's,
The
you know, and
sound
it's like,
ain't big enough to
he's
do
like, you
it.
know, Silvio's like actually like really sweet, you know, he was always been sweet, but he's more sweeter. Like he's sweeter now. Back in the day, he was a little scary, like a little intimidating. And so, no smile. This guy was just, there, like looking around, and he's just like looking at me, like I'm just getting a little nervous and whatever. And so anyway, I go and say hi to Silviu, and he's like, hey, come, come over here. So he's like, what do you think? What do you think about flamenco? Yeah. I'm like, sounds cool. I love flamenco. I lived in Spain for a while, and I was familiar with flamenco. He's like, okay, and then he just like disappeared. I just like looked away, and I looked back, and it was like the saloon doors, are like doing that. And then he called a meeting at your place, at your apartment.
Wonderful apartment, by the way.
Yeah, the wonderful apartment. And it was like we crammed into Silviu's like apartment, and we proceeded to play the hardest song that we probably still play to this day. And his whole philosophy was like, okay, like you start with the hardest thing, if you can get through this, and then you get everything else is easy. And I guess it was kind of true.
Well, speaking of the music that you guys play, can you just talk a little bit about the music that you're going to play? If there's like one piece that that you're going to play, maybe you could talk about that.
That's actually a great question. We very rarely get asked about, the intricate, like, well, what's the music? What are you guys gonna play? But our music is actually quite diverse. We and that's because flamenco is quite diverse, and of course David, our own ethnomusicologist expert, will be able to tell you more about the historical context of some of these things. However, in flamenco we have very many different styles, and it's I like to sort of liken it to kind of compare it with either blues or possibly even the old bluegrass, right? There's different flavors of it everywhere you go, right? There's like the Delta blues, there's like all kinds of different, we have our Florida blues down here. So it's blues is pretty much all the same, but it all has like some differences. Well, flamenco is like that, but even more so, where like regional parts, of different regions of Spain, and especially in the south, in Andalusia, have different styles, right? So some of them are they correspond to towns. For example, in Seville, you have the Sevillana. But yeah, because of that, we try to play all of these different styles, So we play bulerías, we play alegrías, we play fandangos, we play rumbas. So all of them will be a little bit different, but they will still have that flamenco flavor. As far as our pieces that we will be playing, well, most of the time we play our original music. Some of the songs that you will be hearing, if you're trying to look in advance and kind of get a feel for what these pieces are, probably we're going to play Nueva Vida. We love starting with Nueva Vida. It means new life, and it's an alegrías, which alegrías comes from the word for happiness in Spanish. So usually it sets the mood really nice. We also have Daria, which has a lot of like Indian raga influences and all of that stuff. And that's one that we like to end, for example, a set or the show with.
Okay, so for this year, we're calling this our season of inspiration. And so we have been kind of asking artists to talk a little bit about what inspires you or something that inspired you in the past.
That's cool. I guess that's a question for me. Well, being together definitely is an inspiration. Being together, playing together, working on stuff together inspires us to take it to the next level for sure. Usually, it's weird because when I work on the music, sometimes it's the muse or something inspires me or something like that, and then sometimes it's just time to go to work, right? Because you can't just wait for the muse. So basically, there's been situations where I've been inspired by something, and I had to, like, I was writing with a purpose. For example, recently we were the I was a composer in residence for the Appleton Museum in Ocala, where they walked me through the whole gallery, and I had to pick a work that was inspiring to me, and then write a piece. And I did. We found this wonderful Neapolitan fisher boy statue, and we wrote Escucha al mar, Listen to the Sea, which is a new song that will be coming out probably fairly soon in the near future.
Awesome. David or Ramin, do you have anything to add to that?
Well, you mentioned like performers or performances being inspiring, and that's definitely an inspiration for practicing. When you see someone just really doing something incredible and you're like, oh, I got to go home and practice, but for writing music, and I don't really write music for this group other than my own part. Like Silviu is the heart and brains behind this operation,
and the wonderful orchestral arrangements that you write for this.
Well, yeah, those are my parts. But when I am writing music, I definitely am inspired by nature. And I think that's something that, since we were in caves beating on rocks, nature has been kind of that great mystery that inspires a lot of great art. And it definitely inspires me when I go somewhere and see something just really beautiful. And for me, music is really about transporting you out of this kind of mundane moment into something a little bit deeper into your kind of human experience. So I definitely appreciate music that does that kind of makes me feel like I'm in a different time or place, or, just I'm not David anymore. I'm on this journey of music, in the moment, listening to it.
I was just playing a little bit before our meeting here, and I just, every time I just play, I think that's inspiring. It's so much fun, like just to play, just picking it up. And I'm sure Silvio and David feel the same about their instruments, but so much of my work is, and on the computer and think, a lot of cerebral kind of things. It's just nice to play. It's nice to kind of have that vibration and that response with percussion. It's just like, it's just cathartic, and it's physical, and it's fun. So it's a nice kind of just like break and from my day-to-day work. And the didgeridoo is a lot of breath work. So that's a very kind of like therapeutic instrument. It's a lot of deep breathing, a lot of vibration, deep vibration, so it's actually, I think both of these instruments, I think music in general has always been used as a medicine, and medicinally. And so I think that's what inspires us, because it kind of it's good for us, it makes us feel good. It helps us to kind of stay balanced. I mean, I don't know what I would be or who I would be without music. I think I'd be like a jerk and like really uptight and probably, not very healthy. And so, yeah, it's just inspiring, because I think it just keeps us balanced.
Music is just always bringing people together, right? I mean, music, food, art, all of these things. I mean, that's what separates us from other sentient beings.
So speaking of traveling lots of places, does Maharaja Flamenco Trio have a favorite place that you've performed, or a particularly memorable performance experience?
Oh my God, there's a lot.
They're all memorable in a way. That's why I don't remember any of them.
Yeah. Is there one that comes to mind to you guys? I mean, obviously all of the amazing festivals that we played.
The University of Rhode Island Guitar Festival, the last one we did, was really fun, just because, I mean, a great hall, and we did great or whatever, but we got to meet some really amazing top-notch musicians from around the world and hang out with them, and that was just a lot of fun. So that one's one that I definitely think about from time to time and try to keep in touch with those people.
And it's really, I gotta say, for us, I don't think it's really about the hall. You know what I mean? It's more like what the experience has been with that, right? Ramin, do you have something that you're?
Yeah, no, I was thinking of on this question earlier too, and I think that actually my favorite concerts are like when it's not a big hall, when it's just like really intimate, and we're all on the same kind of level, and even like it's a little tight, in there, and it's just everyone's close, and maybe it's a little hot, and sweaty, and we just get into it, and it's just
Puro.
like, yeah, it just
Puro.
feels like it feels so good. Everyone's feeling connected and right there, So even though the big halls are awesome and it's like really impressive and it's, an honor to play those big spaces, it's like my favorite are the more
Yeah.
intimate concerts for
You
sure.
get a little disconnect if you're in that bigger
Yeah.
hall. And really
Yeah.
our
And
audiences are what I remember more than our performances, when we have good audiences that are really interacting with us. They're
mhm.
laughing at all Silviu's jokes. They're relaxed and they're not, they're having a good experience.